The top stories for the hour. Ethiopian member of the parliament urge action to secure sea access for national growth. And African Red Cross Society unites to boost local resource mobilization and self-reliance. Hello and welcome to EBC World, the voice of Pan-Africanism. Esme Makaralai to you with today's updates. To stay with us. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has congratulated the awardees of the 7th Annual Loyal Taxpayers Recognition Ceremony, commending their vital role in supporting Ethiopia's national development and urging all citizens to uphold integrity in the tax system. In his message, the Premier said last year's pledge to channel taxpayers' contribution into essential public goods and national projects has become a visible reality, reflected to the transformation witnessed across Addis Ababa and beyond. The transformation visible across our city's corridors stands as a living testimony to that promise, he stated. He emphasized that taxpayers' efforts are shaping a better future for generations to come, underscoring the link between responsible tax payment and sustainable national growth. As part of efforts to modernize and streamline the revenue system, the Minister of Revenue and the Customs Commission also inaugurated a suite of new digital platform aimed at improving efficiency, transparency and accountability in tax and customs administration. The system includes the electronic receipt administration system, electronic clearance system, electronic custom management system and electronic cargo tracking system. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Cyprus, Konstantinos Kombos, arrived in Addis Ababa this morning for an official working visit. Upon arrival at Bole International Airport, the minister was warmly received by Ambassador Mulay Tarrekeng, Deputy Director General for Europe and the Americans at Ethiopia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. During his stay, Minister Kombos will hold discussion with senior Ethiopian government officials on ways to further enhance bilateral relations and cooperation between Ethiopia and Cyprus. The visit underscores the two countries' shared interest in advancing partnerships and strengthening diplomatic ties.
Welcome to Explore It Anyway. I'm at the beautiful city of Addis Ababa. It is the capital of Ethiopia. Now I'm heading toward the Unity Park. It is the most beautiful place in Addis Ababa. This is where Ethiopia's monarchs would meet with the provincial lords to discuss about local issues and land taxes. Distinguished foreign leaders like Queen Elizabeth II, Charles de Gaulle of France, and Joseph Tito of Yugoslavia were also received in this hall during the reign of Emperor Haile Selassie. I have never seen grey-crowned crane before. These are incredibly beautiful birds.
I love the fact that I'm being able to see those birds from very close.
Now I'm heading toward the banquet hall. It is a very colorful building, I would say. It was constructed during the reign of Menelik II. It has a capacity of 8,000 people.
Members of the House of People's Representatives of Ethiopia are ramping up calls for sustainable sea access, saying it's a vital fuel Ethiopia's rapid economic growth. Speaking to EBC World, the parliamentaries praised the government efforts to gain international backing and stressed the importance of continued diplomatic engagement with neighboring nations. Shagai Matao has the following report.
Addressing the opening joint session of the House of People's Representatives and the House of Federation, marking the 5th year of their tenure last Monday, Ethiopian President Taye Asqassalasie stated that one of the government's top priorities for the 2018 Ethiopian fiscal year is to ensure sustainable access to the sea through amicable engagement with neighboring countries. Reflecting their views on the President's speech, members of the House of People's Representatives noted that the previous year was marked by significant national achievements, including the completion of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam and the natural gas project. They expressed confidence that with unity, Ethiopia can continue reaching major milestones. Speaking to EBC World, members of Parliament called for securing sustainable access to the sea through peaceful negotiations with neighboring countries, grounded in international law and guided by a win-win approach.
Ethiopia wants to have this access on the basis of legality, on the basis of give and take, on the basis of win-win. There is no interest on the part of Ethiopia to get the port access by force, as being presented by some disgruntled elements, and that's not true. This access to the sea can be gained through diplomatic performance, and there should be negotiations. There should be diplomatic activities. We should be out to convince and persuade everybody else, including those port owners, to agree with us so that we'll have an access to the sea.
At this time, government is creating awareness on our community. So the issue of port, the issue of using of Red Sea is the question of every of our community, of every Ethiopian citizen is raised about this issue. So we have to drive, we have to enforce, to raise this question based on international law, based on using of peaceful asking using of the Red Sea.
So using international law, using our diplomatic efforts, we have to address this issue. We have to put it in at an international arena. So far, the government is doing that. Issue is also raised on different international sessions. So we have to continue this issue. We don't want to get in conflict with anybody. We are trying to achieve these demands through peaceful negotiation, give and take.
The parliamentarians emphasized the vital importance of securing the access to support Ethiopia's rapidly growing population and expanding economy.
Ethiopia is one of the most populous countries in this part of the world. Its economy is growing, its population, people grows. The need for Ethiopia's, as long as Ethiopia's economy grows, the size of import-export also grows. And this also needs a sea access. This needs a port.
Our government should be enforced to use this Red Sea. Using of port, using of Red Sea is very important for our country development. Our country development. In a day, we invest a lot of millions of dollars we pay for port. So this affects the livelihood of our community.
As everybody knows, we are about 120 or to 130 million population there. Our economy is growing fastly. Our export is growing. Our imports, we are importing different materials for these big projects in Ethiopia. So our economies cannot hold this through using third-party ports.
The parliamentarians lauded the government's efforts to gain international recognition, but urged for intensified diplomatic efforts to secure access to the sea.
The African Red Cross and Red Crescent National Society Resource Mobilization Skill Conference 2025 is underway in Addis Ababa. Ethiopia's Red Cross Society Secretary General Aberra Lulesa reaffirmed the society's commitment to mobilize local resources to support humanitarian efforts. Representatives from various African national societies echoed a strong call for increased collaboration across the continent to strengthen self-reliance and sustainable humanitarian action. Jerusalem Betzaha has the following.
The African Red Cross and Red Crescent National Societies Resource Mobilization Skills Share Conference 2025 has brought together representatives from over 40 African countries in Addis Ababa. The conference focused on building self-reliant national societies by strengthening domestic resource mobilization, enhancing digital fundraising strategies, and fostering innovation. Speaking at the event, Ethiopia's Red Cross Society Secretary General Aberra Lulesa reaffirmed the society's commitment to maximizing its financial resource through local efforts.
The Ethiopian Red Cross Society has recently developed a new strategy covering the period from 2025 to mid of 2030. By the end of the strategic period, in mid-2030, which is indicated in our strategy, the ratio is projected to reverse, with 70% funding from local sources and 30% from external donors.
Participants from various African national societies emphasized the importance of collaboration among African societies to achieve true self-reliance.
If we have resources from the north, from the west, from whatever partner, we see what cooperative advantage does a national society have in the area of resource mobilization, in the area of investment. Can we do joint investment together with those that have capital? Because in Africa, maybe in other areas equally, capital is scarce. We may have ideas of investment, income generation, but we don't have capital. Capital is expensive. So are we able to access relatively cheaper capital through the partnership that we can have with partners that whom we are partnering to implement projects, but now partnering to do serious, real investment and creating real capacities in the African national societies?
We could split ourselves into perhaps the sub-Saharan region. We could split ourselves into certain groups and look at our core competences. Where we have an advantage, we could share those kind of skills with our neighboring countries, and we can also do inter-regional cooperation too. That is also going to be very helpful.
They also underscored the critical role of partnerships with the private sector and governments in driving innovation and expanding digital resource mobilization across the continent.
Private sector corporations, they've got component of social corporate responsibility that also looks at how they can plow back to the communities in which they do businesses. So we can position ourselves to say, company X, corporate X, here we are. You have this interest, which is also shared interest with us. Let us work together. So we can work with tap into corporate institution. We can become a vehicle through which we can deliver that service which they needed to the community.
If you want the private sector to be involved in whatever you're doing as a society, we must be able to be accountable. We must also be transparent. And we must also be able to prove that whatever funding we get, they are effectively utilized.
The conference is jointly organized by the Ethiopian Red Cross Society and the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies.
Ethiopia's Minister of Revenue, Ainalem Nuguseli, officially opened the 11th Africa Think Tank Summit in Addis Ababa, in Ethiopia, aiming to foster knowledge sharing and policy dialogue. The three-day summit held in 2025 focuses on strategies for economic growth and development across the continent. In her remark, Minister Aina Alam highlighted the importance of collaboration among think tanks to address Africa's challenge. The Africa Think Tank Summit, which the African leaders and experts gather in Addis Ababa, have issued a strong call for the African nations to prioritize domestic resource mobilizations through effective taxation and public financial management (PFM) to achieve economic independence and sustainable development. Kasaun Channe reports.
Ethiopia's Minister Ravenu Ainalam Nuguse officially inaugurated the 11th Africa Think Tank Summit in Addis Ababa, a landmark event dedicated to fostering knowledge sharing and policy dialogue. During this 3-day summit in 2025, leaders and experts are united in a mission to unlock economic growth and development across the continent. Minister Ainalam passionately urged collaboration among think tanks to tackle Africa's most pressing challenges.
This summit is not merely a forum for dialogue. It is a platform for action and collaboration. Over the next 3 days, participants will engage in plenary section, thematic discussion, and side events that address critical issues, including debt sustainability and innovative financing, digital taxation, youth engagement, and institutional capacity building. We are privileged to have panelists and speakers who are widely recognized for their expertise and experience in the field, representing institutions from across the continent and around the world.
Amadou Bitaya, Executive Secretary of the African Capacity Building Foundation, ACBF, painted a clear picture of the work ahead.
How to modernize the tax systems, how to unveil new niches. For example, the digital economy is growing and is worth several billions of dollars. Yet African countries are yet to leverage this opportunity in financing their development. But it's also a moment, what we expect is also exchange of experience, learning from best practice, because the best basis for domestic resource mobilization is transparency, is accountability, is good allocation of resources, is providing tangible quality services to citizens.
Gadus Aga, Director General of the Ethiopian Policy Studies Institute, echoed this sentiment, emphasizing the transformative potential of improved PFM. Zadig Abraha, President of the African Leadership Excellence Academy, Flex, delivered a compelling call for intellectual solidarity. Since its inception in 2014, the Africa Think Tank Summit has been a beacon of collaboration, innovation, and actionable solutions, inspiring nations to confront challenges head-on with a renewed sense of purpose and collective ambition.
That's all we had for today's update, but before I go, let's have a recap of the top stories once again. Ethiopian Member of Parliament urged action to secure sea access for national growth. And African Red Cross societies unite to boost local resource mobilization and self-reliance. Thank you for tuning in to EBC World, the voice of Pan-Africanism. It was me, Makila Lai. See you in today's update. Goodbye.